Today we're going to take a closer look at the legendary investor Warren Buffett's stock portfolio and review all the stocks he holds in his portfolio. Apple, number of shares, 895,136,175, of total portfolio, 38.9%. Market value, 116,305,042,000. Bank of America, number of shares, 1,010,100,606, of total portfolio, 11.19%, market value, 33,454,531,000. Chevron Corp., number of shares, 162,975,771, of total portfolio, 9.78%, market value, 29,252,523,000. Coca-Cola, number of shares, 400 million, of total portfolio, 8.51%, market value, 25,444,000,000. American Express, number of shares, 151,610,700, of total portfolio, 7.49%, market value, 22,400,481,000. Kraft Heinz, number of shares, 325,634,818, of total portfolio, 4.43%, market value, 13,256,593,000. Occidental Petroleum, number of shares, 194,351,650, of total portfolio, 4.09%, market value, 12,242,210,000. Moody's Corporation, number of shares, 24,669,778, of total portfolio, 2.3%, market value, 6,873,494,000. Activision Blizzard, number of shares, 52,717,075, of total portfolio, 1.35%, market value, 4,035,493,000. HP, number of shares, 104,476,035, of total portfolio, 0.94%, market value, 2,807,271,000. DaVita Healthcare Partners, number of shares, 36,095,570, of total portfolio, 0.9%, market value, 2,695,257,000. VeriSign, number of shares, 12,815,613, of total portfolio, 0.88%, market value, 2,632,840,000. Citigroup, number of shares, 55,155,797, of total portfolio, 0.83%, market value, 2,494,696,000. Kroger, number of shares, 50 million, of total portfolio, 0.75%, market value, 2,229,000,000. Visa, number of shares, 8,297,460, of total portfolio, 0.58%, market value, 1,723,880,000. Liberty Media Corporation, number of shares, 43,208,291, of total portfolio, 0.57%, market value, 1,690,740,000. Paramount Global, number of shares, 93,637,189, of total portfolio, 0.53%, market value, 1,580,596,000. MasterCard, number of shares, 3,986,648, of total portfolio, 0.46%, market value, 1,386,277,000. Charter Communications, number of shares, 3,828,941, of total portfolio, 0.43%, market value, 1,298,394,000. Bank of New York Mellon Corporation, number of shares, 25,069,867, of total portfolio, 0.38%, market value, 1,141,180,000. Celanese Corporation, number of shares, 9,710,183, of total portfolio, 0.33%, market value, 992,768,000. Amazon, number of shares, 10,666,000, of total portfolio, 0.3%, market value, 895,944,000. Globe Life, number of shares, 6,353,727, of total portfolio, 0.26%, market value, 765,942,000. Ally Financial, number of shares, 29,800,000, of total portfolio, 0.24%, market value, 728,610,000. Markel Corporation, number of shares, 467,611, of total portfolio, 0.21%, market value, 616,073,000. Taiwan Semiconductor SA, number of shares, 8,292,724, of total portfolio, 0.21%, market value, 617,725,000. Liberty Media Corp Formula One, number of shares, 7,722,451, of total portfolio, 0.15%, market value, 461,649,000. New Holdings Ltd, number of shares, 107,118,784, of total portfolio, 0.15%, market value, 435,973,000. Floor & Decor Holdings, number of shares, 4,780,000, of total portfolio, 0.11%, market value, 332,832,000. U.S. Bancorp, number of shares, 6,670,835, of total portfolio, 0.1%, market value, 290,915,000. Johnson & Johnson, number of shares, 327,100, of total portfolio, 0.02%, market value, 57,782,000. General Motors, number of shares, 50 million, of total portfolio, 0.56%, market value, 1,682,000,000. Aon plc, number of shares, 4,396,000, of total portfolio, 0.44%, market value, 1,319,416,000. McKesson Corporation, number of shares, 2,855,514, of total portfolio, 0.36%, market value, 1,071,160,000. Snowflake, number of shares, 6,125,376, of total portfolio, 0.29%, market value, 879,236,000. Liberty SiriusXM Series A, number of shares, 20,207,680, of total portfolio, 0.27%, market value, 794,364,000. T-Mobile US, number of shares, 5,242,000, of total portfolio, 0.25%, market value, 733,880,000. Restoration Hardware Holdings, number of shares, 2,360,000, of total portfolio, 0.21%, market value, 630,568,000. Louisiana Pacific Corporation, number of shares, 7,044,909, of total portfolio, 0.14%, market value, 417,059,000. Stone Co. Ltd., number of shares, 10,695,448, percent of total portfolio, 0.03%, market value, 100,965,000. Marsh & McLennan, number of shares, 404,911, percent of total portfolio, 0.02%, market value, 67,005,000. Procter & Gamble, number of shares, 315,400, percent of total portfolio, 0.02%, market value, 47,802,000. Liberty Latin America, number of shares, 2,630,792, percent of total portfolio, 0.01%, market value, 19,810,000. Mondelez International, number of shares, 578,000, percent of total portfolio, 0.01%, market value, 38,524,000. Vanguard S&P 500 ETF, number of shares, 43,000, percent of total portfolio, 0.01%, market value, 15,108,000. Jefferies Financial Group, number of shares, 433,558, percent of total portfolio, 0.01%, market value, 14,862,000. Liberty Latin America Ltd., number of shares, 1,284,020, percent of total portfolio, 0.01%, market value, 9,759,000. United Parcel Service, number of shares, 59,400, percent of total portfolio, 0.01%, market value, 10,326,000. So, there you have it, a review of all the stocks in Warren Buffett's portfolio. It's clear that he has a preference for stable, well-established companies with a strong brand and a history of consistent earnings growth. While his portfolio may not be the most exciting, it's certainly been effective in generating strong returns over the years. As always, it's important to do your own research before making any investment decisions. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.